If you're a residential real estate agent earning $200,000 a year and you want to grow your passive income, this show's for you. Learn the secrets other agents use and hear from experts in our field in order to guide you along your journey to investing in assets like apartment communities so that you can turn your commissions into cash flow. I'm Randall McLeod. Let's go, baby. All right, we're back today with another top producing agent in our series of real estate agents who are just crushing it right now. Today we have Jeff Nevin. He is an agent with Keller Williams on the Reliance Realty Team. He's out of Wisconsin in the Milwaukee area. And today we talk about his investments, what he's doing and how he's having success on the brokerage side of the business and how he has invested in some duplexes as well in his market. Off camera, we talked a little bit more about how he has basically created a syndication of his own with his group of agents in his office, which is fantastic to hear. So you're going to get a lot of tips and tricks from him on how, again, on the brokerage side, you can grow your business, and then just what he's done on the single family investing side or the duplex side. So stay tuned, take a look, and you're going to get a lot out of it. And without further ado, let's bring Jeff on. Welcome to the show. All right, Jeff. Hey, great to have you on the show today. Thanks for coming on. I want to dive right in and ask you a couple of questions about what you're doing in the space right now. I know you're in real estate. Are you a broker or are you an agent? And kind of just tell me where you are in the real estate space.
Yeah. So thanks for having me on, by the way.
Sure.
I am a real estate agent. I'm not a broker. I do work for Keller Williams Realty. Been doing this since 2011. My team is the Reliance Real Estate Team. I have a business partner. His name is Joseph Singsheim. And we're growing every year.
Awesome. Okay. So agent, and you've been doing it for how long? Did you just drop that in there?
Yeah, since 2011.
2011. Okay. All right. And so kind of give me a backstory real fast on how you got into real estate in the first place. Like, what was the driver to get you into the brokerage side of the business?
Yeah. So it was actually, I was bartending, believe it or not. And I had a high school buddy of mine who was in the commercial side of things. And he told me that he was doing pretty well in the business. And so I kind of researched and discovered that it seemed pretty simple to get into. And that's when, I took the test and I joined another brokerage. And I was there for about maybe 3 years before I did make the switch. But that's kind of how I discovered, was just through a high school buddy.
Yeah. Yeah. It's pretty much once you see somebody doing it and they tell you, hey, this is, there's money to be made here. You see it happen. So you got into it and you were working for that brokerage. Were you having early success? It's
funny is I only sold one house my first year. I was working a couple other jobs during the time, but I was doing it all wrong, I feel like. And that's why I think I failed in the first year, but it was more focusing on getting my website up and what does my business cards look like, and going on brokers opens and doing a lot of trainings. Trainings are good. I don't want to knock trainings at all. But what I was lacking was really prospecting for business every day. And I think that's what really made the switch. But real good success in the beginning.
Yeah. The reason I brought that up is because I wanted to ask you is because you just said, well, it was relatively easy to get started. And I was like, okay, it is. There's a very low barrier to entry in real estate. Mm-hmm. You can go out, anybody can take the test and pass it relatively easily. Yeah. But then the difficulty comes in actually making money, right? You can't just hang a shingle mm-hmm. and then your people are going to show up at your door. When I first got into real estate, somebody told me, if you're not marketing, you're not in business, because that's it. When I was in the investment side. I was like, I just put my name out there, like, where are my customers? He's like, have you marketed yet? No. Okay. Well, that's why no one's coming to you. So that's
exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. That's the tough part. I mean, so I get a lot, I should say about 30% of my business is from expired listings. And then the rest are from like referrals. And then you sprinkle in a couple calling around neighborhoods from just listed and just sold. But it's every day on the phones for probably 3 to 4 hours a day trying to find new business. And you get wins, right? I think last week I scheduled 6 listing appointments, which is great. Today I've been calling for 3 hours and I got nothing.
Yeah.
Talked to 15 people, nothing,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. It's the numbers sales game. That is how it goes. So that's good. You're already talking about KPIs. I'm curious what you guys track and what you're looking at. We'll get to that in a minute. So, one of the main goals, we had talked about this just a minute ago, but one of the main goals of the show is to help other agents build their active income, right? So that they can then turn that and transition that into passive income, passive investments, either in single family or in, syndications, multifamily, stuff like that, in order to not have to work for the money, kind of get the mailbox money and make work optional. That's the whole idea. And so you just mentioned one, it was the expired listings, but what are some tips and tricks that you are using right now that are either winning you more deals or giving you the most success in your business?
Expired's definitely, your sphere of influence is huge. And you probably hear that all the time from other agents. I think the most important is going to be your follow-up calls. On average, I would say a lot of agents, when they maybe get a lead from, let's say, an open house, right? They sign in or whatever, and then they thank them for coming through the open house after, but then they never call them again. And that's where I think some people fail when it comes to bringing in business. Even when I say that I talk to expireds or Sphere or anybody that is thinking about selling, I probably talk with them probably 4 or 5, 6 times before I actually get like a listing appointment or a buyer appointment, anything. It's just continued follow-up, and you're building that rapport because you do sound like a salesman when I'm talking to expireds. Oh, list with me, I'm better than the other agent, and you know what I mean? But it sounds salesy, but when I continue to follow up and it's like, hey, John, we spoke last week, what are you doing this week? And you kind of build like a friendship, and that's where I win my appointments is through follow-up. So I think the biggest thing is just keep continuing to call those people.
Yeah, that's consistency. I was listening to something today, and they're talking about the marketing rule of 7. Have you heard of this? 7 touch points before somebody wants to engage with you. And so, it is for us, what we see. It was always interesting when we do a marketing piece and then somebody would interact with it. They'd come into our funnel somehow. And then a year later, we'd actually get a deal from that person. And you go back and you can track that as long as you're, tracking everything. But we probably talked to them 7 to 15 times in that 1 year period through text messages, through phone calls, through whatever it was. So consistency and follow-up is absolutely key. So that's huge. I was going to ask you, like with your sphere, when you're talking to people who are in your, sphere of influence and your direct point of contacts, right? Are there things that you do that work to where you don't come off as salesy? Like I always, talk to some people and they're like, man, I don't really like selling to my friends. I don't really want to like hustle them or whatever, So is there a way that you approach it that you find success with?
So we call quarterly our whole database, and we do ask for business. For example, like my first quarter calls here, I'm telling everybody what my goal is. And I ask for their help. Everybody wants to help everybody. And these people, we've had a great experience finding their home. So we like each other, right? So they're always willing to help. A couple of other things that we do are like client events. So we did it was like a pie day last year. So right before Thanksgiving, we invited everybody to come pick up pies for, they could hand out to whoever, bring it to their family, Thanksgiving dinner. And we didn't ask for business then, but it was a way to touch and keep top of mind with our clients without asking for business. So I think it's a lot of just touches in that regard, both giving value is another one, and don't be afraid to ask for business.
Yeah, for sure. I like that. And letting people know that's huge. Just the way you frame it in the sense of, this is my goal. Can you help me hit my goal? Yeah, that's great. Definitely will implement that. Just the way, the talking point, that the way you use that. Okay. So those are some tools. On the brokerage side, I'm just kind of curious how you guys have your team structures. You and was it Joe, right?
Joe and I.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Is that the whole team? Do you guys have a downline? Do you have other agents that work for you? Like how do you guys have that set up?
No, so that's it. We have like a transaction coordinator to help with, the paperwork and all that admin stuff, but we still do the negotiations, showings, listing appointments, all those things. But we split it like 50-50 basically is how we have it structured. We share the same expenses and everything like that. And it's also nice because we're like accountability buddies. It's like if I'm failing, it's like, I better make it up, So I got somebody else I got to.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good. Okay. Yeah. The TC definitely helps. I had a few friends of mine work at Keller Williams, and the way that it's structured there, it seems like they kind of have a good program for you guys when you're coming into it. And so I don't know much about the splits and how that works with you guys, but yeah,
it's not really the traditional way. Usually it's like one person, one agent like me, right? Where I generate too much business where then I need like a showing assistant or like a buyer agent. And then once that kind of grows, then you hire like a listing agent, buyer agent, and a transaction coordinator. That's the more traditional way. We were just a little untraditional, I guess, but
yeah, got it. Okay. And you're up in Wisconsin, right?
Yes. Southeastern Wisconsin.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So yeah,
Milwaukee metropolitan area.
Talk a bit about that. Like, what are you seeing right now up there? Are you seeing any changes to the market with the increase in interest rates? Has it changed anything with you guys?
Actually,
I can't imagine it has.
Last month, home prices went up by 9%. Right. Within just our metro Milwaukee area. So it's 4 counties by us that we take the numbers from. The more populated areas, of course, but it's a little different when you go more up north, but where we're at, and it's really due to a lack of listings. We still have a bunch of buyers looking around here and nothing for sale. I think in Milwaukee and Waukesha County on Monday, when you check the hot sheet, it takes all 3 days, basically, like, Saturday, Sunday, and then today's, if anything, went up. And there was only 92 listings between Milwaukee and Waukesha County by itself. And that's not a lot in 3 days, really, to feed the buyer pool that's out there.
So what do you think is driving that? Why are sellers not listing right now?
I'm sorry, say that one more time, Randall.
I'm just saying, why are sellers not listing right now? What do you think is driving the low?
Well, I think it's it's a couple things, actually. So when you prospect and you talk to actual sellers who didn't sell, let's say for expireds, they're saying that it's the market. People don't want to buy. And I have to help them understand, there was probably a reason why I didn't sell. But the other aspect is to it, a lot of sellers have locked in an interest rate that is like 3.5%, 4%, maybe even lower than that sometimes. And they don't want to give that up. Why?
Yeah. Yeah, because their trade-off would be a higher mortgage at a higher price. So yeah, I was curious if that was part of it, or if the buyers are offering so much lower due to the debt, the increase in the interest rates. And so if you're not even getting offers though, then that changes that equation. That doesn't really answer that.
Yeah. So for us though, seller's market here in the southeastern Wisconsin, I mean, we're still seeing multiple offers.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. That's good to hear. So yeah, you kind of touched on it. You making a bunch of calls and that sort of thing, getting back into the actual nuts and bolts of the business and like how you're working on it. Are you tracking, like, what are the main KPIs that you look at? Do you key performance indicators? Do you look at how many calls it takes you to get a listing appointment and how many listing appointments it takes you to get a deal, how many deals it takes to get a closing, that sort of thing? Are you tracking those?
Pretty close. We don't have the exact numbers. I wish I could just like spit it out. That'd be pretty awesome. Yeah. But we need to do, so our goal is 100 transactions, 120 transactions, and our appointments to closed, like actual signed signatures, is about 70%. So we need to do about 150, 155 actual listing appointments to do 100 listings, basically.
Yeah.
We're going to sprinkle in buyers in there too, but we're more listing focused.
So then when you're doing the listing side, out of 100 that you get, how many of those actually close? You think it's 100%?
About 90%. Yeah. 90%. Then that's just because it's been a great market the past couple of years.
Yeah.
It'll be very interesting to see this year.
Yeah.
It's still great right now. At the same time, like, they're still saying interest rates are going to go up. So there might be a breaking point here.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Just curious. Okay. Yeah. That's one thing, big thing. We were talking last week. I had another agent on. We were talking about just tracking and all the KPIs and that sort of thing. And I don't think they had started that yet, but he had a team and he had a bunch of people there. And I was just like, if you're tracking that, it is going to help you tremendously. because then you can just see how many calls you're making, how many people you have to talk to. And then if you ever bring other agents on under you, then you give them that template and then they know what your closing ratio is and they should be able to take it and run with it as well. So anyway, for whatever that's worth, what advice would you give to other agents, trying to have a solid year this year? You got any advice, any tips, tricks, or anything else?
Sure. Yeah. I think the biggest thing that you could do this year is just talk to as many people as possible. Again, expireds and for sale by owners might not be for everybody. There's also other avenues of prospecting or finding new business, like open houses every weekend, door knocking, calling your sphere, events, like things like that. As long as you're trying to actively find new business, at least an hour a day, that's what's going to help you through like a tough market. I mean, agents are struggling right now. I see it all the time in my office. It's because there's not a lot listing right now.
Yeah.
So you have to talk with more people than we've ever been used to. So that's what I think my one advice for any agent out there, if you want to be successful this year, it's getting out there and talking to as many people as you can.
Yeah. I think you nailed it at the top as well. When you said, when you started, you were worried about the website and worried about the business card and all of that stuff. But ultimately at the end of the day, going out and shaking hands and talking to people face to face and actually doing the work is more important than just having the back end, set up. It's all well and good. You need that stuff, but that's not going to close you a deal, just having it up and running. So, all right, good advice there. We're proud to be sponsored by Ridgeline Investment Group. Ridgeline has a track record of transacting more than $53 million in assets throughout Texas. Ridgeline is currently looking to acquire 100 to 200 unit Class B multifamily communities between 5 and 20 million in San Antonio, Temple, Waco, Tyler, and other Texas secondary markets. To learn more about Ridgeline Investment Group, visit www.ridgelineig.com. Curious, we talked briefly, again, a lot of the rationale for the show is to teach agents how to invest and to get them going. So on the investment side, have you actively invested in any sort of real estate or any investments, really in general, just investments?
Yeah. So I bought my third duplex in December of 2022. And that's my way of growing wealth. And there's a lot of benefits to it.
Speak to that. Let's go.
Yeah. So, I mean, passive income, which is great. You get monthly income. You build equity. You have renters who pay down your mortgage. They pay down that equity for you. And then also becoming an agent, it has a lot of tax benefits as well. So if you're making a 6-figure income and you're 30% tax bracket, you could come to, the end of the year paying a lot of taxes. But when you have investments in real estate, you buy real estate and you use that as depreciation, you could really cut down your taxes for that year. So you have that avenue as well. So gaining equity, passive income, and saving money on taxes.
Awesome. So run me through a deal. You got a duplex up there. I don't know what the market is like there. What does a duplex go for? Is it new? Was it used? Like, what's the story?
So my first duplex is an upper and lower, 2-bedroom, 1 bath each unit. And I found this one off market, actually, just on, I think it was Craigslist back in 2018. Yeah.
It still existed. Yeah.
What's that?
It still existed.
It still exists. I know. So that's how I found that deal. It was nice working with the seller directly. Got a pretty good deal on it. That's the nice thing is for anybody looking to get into it, there's low cost to finding numbers for neighborhoods that have duplexes or 4 families that you could try and get in touch or mail them as well. Because when you find the off-market ones, that's where you could find a better deal. The other 2 were on the market, and I had to compete for both of them. So those were both side-by-side duplexes, 3 bedrooms, 1.5 bath each side, and they needed work. I'm actually still working on one side right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm hoping to get it rented in the next week, or at least start actively finding a tenant. But that's another thing you have to factor in is if you want top rent. I like to renovate mine. I did hear though, and I love this guy's advice, was and I wish I knew who it was. So this is not me saying it. Somebody else said it. I just don't know who. They bought like a 12-unit building, and a lot of new people investing, they want to like renovate and they want to spend the money to try and get that top dollar. But what they ended up doing was just raising the rent every year by $25 until they reached their limit, until they got actual pushback. And that's when they knew that they reached the top of that value before they had to make the updates for it. So that's kind of what I'm going to start implementing on any new properties I get before wasting time and money in a unit when I may not even have to.
Yeah.
So just a little food for thought on that aspect. But
that's solid advice there. There's been a big shift in the large multifamily space to do more of that, mainly because a lot of operators were acquiring buildings on floating debt, and because the interest rates increased, it didn't make sense to come out of your CapEx budget when you might need that money in order to maintain the property. And so, yeah, pushing rents just organically without actually doing the upgrades. I know that some operators were doing that and found the exact same results that you're talking about. You know, it's like, okay, well, the rents are increasing everywhere. We don't necessarily need to spend $10,000 per door to get this thing up and running. So we're just going to scale it back a little bit, make sure everything's working, and then keep renting. So, but one thing on a 12 unit, I mean, my take on that would be do a research on the market. Obviously, we can, as agents, figure out what the market rents are, and then maybe do one of them at full market, not just $25. Full market. Can you actually get full market today? Okay, great. Then move them all at full market if it was more than a $25 bump increase. Yeah. But obviously, every operator is doing their own thing. So that's great advice. And so you're now on your third one. And so what are price points in Wisconsin where you're buying these things? These like 60 a door, they, 200 a door. Like, what is the price point?
So we do. So like, I think the average side-by-side duplex is going for about $350K. And
the whole building or just one side?
No, the whole building, just duplexes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then on average, I mean, you're pretty close to about 275, 300 for an upper and lower. Again, it depends on bedrooms and bath, but if you get a nice premium 3-bedroom, 1.5 side by side, you're looking at, I would say 350 to 400 here in Wisconsin. Yeah. In the Milwaukee area.
Yeah. And then you're renting, you're actually getting positive cash flow in that with debt on it?
Yeah. So I'm weird. I know a lot of people have their own different rules and stuff. I like to know that if I'm cash flowing close to 1,000 a month cash flow after everything, that's like a huge win to me. Yeah. I know a lot of people are much different where, I mean, if they're cash flowing 400 or 300, to them, that's a win. I mean, there's still other aspects to that, right? Like we discussed, like equity and taxes and things like that. But for me, if I'm going to put in the effort and stuff, that's kind of my basic rule of thumb is, can I get 1,000 or close to it each month cash flow from the building? Yeah, no, that's a great number. Just with duplexes, I should say. Yeah, I mean, it'll be different if it's like an 8-family, but yeah, it's even that. So looking at single family and that sort of thing, when I talk to some guys in San Antonio, the market's a little bit different. The rents may not be as high for the type of product, right? But yeah, if you can get $400 to $500 a door on positive cash flow, then that's pretty solid. And so at 300,000, that's pretty good. Good for you. That's awesome. Yep. So was anything, you got into it and you started, like, what was the transition like going from your agent hat to the investor hat? Any challenges you had actually pulling the trigger? No, I wouldn't say challenges. When you start to talk with a lot of like-minded people in the office who are doing the same thing, you pick up on a lot of things. Before I did buy, I spoke to a really close friend of mine who's been doing it for a while and kind of get his take on finding renters and what is that like, his leases and things like that. So it really helped me when I did buy my first duplex and finding qualified renters for it. Now, it's funny because when you buy an investment and you become that investor, I look at every appointment that I go on a little bit differently. Like, it should be the first question you should really ask yourself as a real estate agent when you're going on these appointments or listing appointments is, should I buy this? Like, is this something that I should buy?
Yeah.
Because you walk into some distressed properties that you could flip. That's another thing. That's one goal I do have this year. I would love to do a flip this year, just to say I did it. And you like walk into distressed properties before most people do, being an agent. And you should always ask yourself that. So people getting into it, that should be your first question.
Yeah. No, for sure. We kind of went at it the other way. Like I was telling you, we were more on the investor side, even though I'm a broker. I've focused more on the investing side. So I'd go into it and always have that, like, how can I buy this thing? And then if I couldn't, then it was like, okay, look, it's too nice. Your house needs to be listed on the MLS. Like, let's go for full retail. Like, in that was kind of the direction that we would take it if they, needed that sort of help. But yeah, for sure. So you go in, you're looking, and so again, any tips you would have for any agent who hasn't actually taken that step and actually invested into either a single family or duplex in order to like take that step? Like, again, that sounds like you had to go get comfortable with it by talking to some friends, some mentors, that sort of thing. But do you have any other tips that, again, would help somebody make that transition into actively investing in a deal?
Yeah, I would say know your numbers as well. If you see a duplex, it's got to make sense, right? So you've got to recognize how much you're putting down, the taxes, take into account any kind of, repairs, or set aside some of that monthly income for if a furnace does go out or something like that. So you always just keep in mind and make sure the numbers make sense for you, like, before you do it, because there are properties out there where people will jump on it and then turns out that they aren't cash flowing at all. And sometimes I've seen people buy and they're losing money each month.
Yeah. So
I would say just really dive into your monthly expenses, what you could get for rents, and make sure that you feel comfortable with whatever you're netting each month.
Yeah. How did you get comfortable with your numbers then? How did you figure out how much it was going to cost you to rehab a place?
Mine was super basic. Mine was, how can I get to 1,000?
Yeah.
And then after that, with talking with more and more investors, they've shared like a Google Excel sheet that imports kind of my interest rate, my rents that I think I could get, or the current rates that they're getting right now. So what is my, my cap rate, my ROI on there? So that is a great tool, and you could find them everywhere online, to really kind of get an idea of where you're at numbers wise and have it in front of you to see that. Yeah.
Yeah. And then as far as debt goes, you just closed in December. So what kind of rate did you get on that?
So I took a 3-year arm out on that at a 6.75. It was a local bank, and I got it for 10% down, which was great.
Okay. Yeah.
So now I have to let everybody know that when I did use that bank, when I got pre-approved for the 10% down, the loan officer actually called me. She's like, "Hey, Jeff, I want to let you know, while you have your pre-approval letter for the 10%, once it expires, it's going to 15%. They're changing protocol." But so if I do that again with her, it's going to be a 15%. But I guess it's a good point to talk about it. Maybe is you don't need 25% down to like buy investment properties. You could talk with your local banks, and they usually have those programs for you, where you're not doing 25% down, but you could do a 10 or 15% down. And when I bought it back in December, I think the rates were above 7 at that point, and I was able to lock it in with a 3-year arm with the lower interest rate at the time.
Yeah.
Pretty neat.
Yeah. 3-year arm. So yeah, that's a pretty good product. 10% down, 3-year.
Yeah. You just kind of cross your fingers, and 3 years we'll have better rates. But
yeah, I mean, it's one of those things that, again, if you priced it in, then you understand where you are. I am just looking high level, not being in that deal, not seeing the numbers. I am still, I'm like, man, that's pretty solid. You got 10% down, so you got higher leverage, and you have a 6.75. And so how are you getting $1,000 a month? Just imagine when that interest rate drops. If you refi out of that thing, then your cash flow is going to go higher, especially if you have a higher base. Like if it appreciates, then you'll have a lower LTV. So Yeah. Interesting all around.
Yep.
Did you have to pay like PMI on that?
Nope.
Yeah.
Nope.
Solid.
Not with this one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Solid. Okay. So there you go.
They're out there. They're
Yeah.
out there. Randall, hey,
Jeff.
I'll give you her contact.
Yeah, I'm going to say call Jeff. He's a new loan broker now. He's starting a new business. All right. So so those are your investments. And so again, kudos for getting started and actually buying some things, because that is a huge step. And obviously over time, that is just going to compound. You're going to keep growing those things. And like you've talked about, and just how it is obvious to anybody who's actually bought anything, your appreciation is going to go up. Your debt is going to go down. You're currently having it paid off by someone living in the property, paying off your mortgage for you. And so your wealth is growing over time. And that's an amazing thing to see. I know the prior guest we had on, he was talking about 1031ing out of some of these, even the duplex, and not just the large multifamily or commercial real estate. You can 1031 out of these single family or duplex houses, and then keep your basis low in those deals into a larger property. So you could buy a fourplex next with the same dollars you used to buy the duplex. So a lot of strategies there you can implement in order to grow your wealth over time. And obviously, if you're buying a fourplex with the same amount of money you bought a duplex with, then your cash flows are going up. So you're building your cash flow, not just your wealth and equity over time.
Absolutely.
So, awesome, man. I'm excited to see how you're doing at the end of the year.
My goal is three more investment
3
properties, whether it's a duplex or multifamily, but that's the goal.
And a flip in there. You got to throw that flip in there.
And a flip. Yeah. It'll be a very busy year.
Yeah. If you want to talk flips, you want to talk anything on that front, I have a ton of stuff on that. My goal has been to put like a back end portal up with all the docs and all, because I've done a lot of different strategies on the investment side, from rentals to owner finance to sub two to like all these different things. And so, and the rehabs and the systems that I've got from the rehabbing system. So yeah, the idea is to get that up, and I'm happy to share that with you if
that would be awesome.
Any of those flips. But yeah, it's a different market. Like up there, constructing in the snow, like couldn't tell you, man. Don't have anything in my spreadsheet for that.
Yeah, we have a storm coming Thursday and Friday. Sorry, Wednesday and Thursday. So that'll be fun.
Yeah. There you go. You'll be inside the whole time.
Yep.
So have you looked at, or are you familiar with syndications, funds, or buying into like apartment complexes? Have you ever read about that, thought about it?
Definitely have thought about it. And the cool thing is, with being around like-minded people in our office here, we've actually have come together and started our own little cash flow LLC. Well, we just call it KW Cash Flow, right? But it's for just that, where people who don't really know much about getting into bigger items such as that, or like commercial. We do have somebody within our group that is into that, just to kind of help us, and he invested in our group with us. And it's a great way to learn with like-minded people, so you don't really have as many failures trying it out, basically, right? So definitely interested. I just have not really dived into that avenue just yet.
Yeah. So that's really interesting. I think that's solid that you guys have put that together. Mm-hmm. Is it a small amount, and then the guy who knows the investments, he takes that pool of capital and then he's going to go put it into a deal, or how does that work?
So kind of, but it's like we all are we call them bird dogs, right? The ones that are looking for deals.
Okay.
So if, let's say, like even a big apartment building comes on the market and we don't necessarily have the funds for that, that's where that comes into play. So we have multiple people helping invest in that. And then at the same time, the person who is kind of already into that field, he's giving us advice. He's saying, this is how we should approach it. We've come across a couple deals that just never really came to fruition with it. Yep. It's still learning though. Like, we're still learning. Like, that's okay. That's not how we approach that. But again, very new to it. I can't really talk intelligently about it yet. Yeah. But definitely interested. I'll tell you that.
It sounds so. Basically, what you've done, you've created a syndication. You guys have, through an LLC, created a syndication where you're pulling your capital and you guys are going to deploy it into an asset together, and that is as simple as you can make it. It's a syndication, and so depending on if you buy one asset or multiple, right? That is, if it's a fund or a syndication, really, that is kind of how you could look at it high level. But that again is fantastic. So if you're taking part of your commissions and you're throwing it into this fund and you guys are saying, okay, we're going to go run around and buy up, a bunch of fourplexes together. Fantastic. Yeah. Yeah. Or 150 unit complex, whatever it is. So yeah, that's good for you. Again, really love talking to people about that side of it.
Yeah. Well, Billy, man, I'm going to retire by 45. I'm telling you, Randall, it's going to happen.
How old are you now?
Right.
You going to drop it?
35, 10 years.
35? Yeah, good for you.
Well, I turned 36, I guess, in April. So 9 years. We'll say.
Yeah. Yeah, you can do it. I mean, it's, again, if you're compounding your investments, that it's definitely doable. I remember reading Rich Dad when I was in my 20s, and I was like, oh, I'm going to be retired when I'm 30. And then I literally went on a path of just flipping houses and rehabbing and doing all this stuff and not building the actual cash flow. It was just building up these chunks of money where you flip a house, you got to go find another one. You sell a home, you're doing a commission, you get a commission, but you got to go find another one. You're on the phone today, talking all day on the phone, yesterday, the next day, tomorrow. And so the only way out of that is to build the cash flow. And so, yeah, that is, I don't know how I got on that tangent, but.
No, hey, dude, first of all, Rich Dad Poor Dad, awesome book.
Yeah.
Gave it to my kid, and I wish he would get more excited about it, but we'll continue to work on him.
Yeah. With time. Once I don't know, boy, girl, what do you have?
2 boys.
2 boys. Yeah. I mean, once they go out and start working for the man, maybe they'll pick it back up and say, oh, Dad was telling me something that's pretty smart here.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Mine aren't old enough yet to comprehend that, but we talk to them about business. My wife is flipping a house. She's doing her first house right now. She's been in the business for a long time, and she's, seen what we were doing, and she was actually running our office when we had our whole investment side, but she's doing her first one by herself now. And so I know it's great for her to take our kids there, and for my little daughter who's 2 years old to see mom like running the show. It's really cool.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anything you can do to immerse them early, good for you.
That's awesome.
Yeah. That book. Definitely.
Do you have to now that she's doing one on her own, do you have to stop yourself from trying to want to help? Or are you kind of letting her, or do you?
I told her, hey, look, this is your show. You're running it. Come to me for questions. I'm here. If you have any questions, ask me, but I definitely don't want to step on your toes. Awesome. So I've let her run with it. She asked me stuff, but the first one that I did not have that support, in the sense of having somebody just kind of, oh, hey, that water heater's installed wrong, or hey, this is wrong, or whatever it is, And so, yeah, it's good that she has that, but it's also, she's knocking it out. She's seen enough. She's super intelligent. She's got her own contractors and everything. I didn't have any say in who she hired for that. And she needs to be able to, if she makes a mistake, make the mistake. Right. That's what it was. I told her, look, if you make $5, you're winning. It's it's a big investment. Maybe more than $5 would be great. But again, do that first deal, get it out of your system. And if you make any money, I remember the first rehab that I did, my brother and I bought a place, and I was super nervous about the whole thing and just running the whole project. And I remember telling him, I was like, hey, if we make more than $500 on this, this is my full-time gig. And we made money, but it's just getting over that first one. And so she's doing a great job. Yeah. Yep. And same with you, man.
I'd be nervous, excited, but man, just like you said, once you get the first one done, you learn so much. Yeah. It's a breeze after.
Yeah. I mean, it's a lot of work, definitely not a breeze, but it's.
I know. Yeah. You're just not so, scared or nervous.
No, for sure. That's what goes away. That's what goes away. So let's see, we could talk some about the market. I don't know what you're seeing that's, we're Q1 24, right? 23 right now. So, what do you think is going to happen? When you're talking around the water cooler, what are you guys seeing in the market, and what are you guys expecting for the rest of the year?
I know when we're in Wisconsin, you usually see it on the coast. The coast, they change sooner than we do. we're still obviously seeing a change. We're not getting like 20 offers on a home where someone's doing 50K over asking and waiving everything and giving their firstborn child for a property.
Yeah.
We're seeing multiple offers still, just like a handful though, like 2 or 3. So it's not anything crazy. It's definitely slowed down, which we definitely needed. We needed that. So again, like I mentioned, it's still, we had a 9% year over year in home prices rising. And again, it's just because there's hardly any listings for sale. Buyers are still looking. That's kind of what we're seeing in our market. I mean, the percentage was down. I think it was like 10 or 11% of listings sold. So that just goes to show, right? Like less listings, higher prices.
How are you guys on affordability in Milwaukee?
Our average price, I think right now is $325 in Wisconsin as a whole.
Okay. Yeah, in San Antonio, I saw a stat. It was about 308 median.
380, you said?
380 average and 308 median.
Okay. Yeah.
But that's San Antonio.
We have really high taxes here, though. That's the crazy thing. Like, I don't know what your taxes are by you guys.
265.
Decent. What's that?
The mill rate's like 265, 2.65%.
Okay.
I don't know what you guys are.
You know what? I should know that, and I don't.
Look it up. Yeah.
But like, like for example, like in Milwaukee at 300 and let's say the median price 330,000, you're looking at like $6,000 in taxes.
Yeah, it's about the same. Yeah.
Yeah. Really?
Oh yeah. We pay Texas.
Right.
They've been very aggressive. The counties. I don't know. There was some kind of edict passed down, I guess, from the state saying get some more money, and so they've been very aggressive, increasing the appraisal value at the county appraisal districts. I know it's one of the big price increases every time I'm looking at multifamily here in Texas. So yeah, that's the market. We were talking about market. All right, Jeff, man, it's been great having you on. We're getting to the top of the hour. I want to wrap up with some questions not related to work. So what's your favorite pastime not related to business?
Board games with the family.
What's your favorite board game?
Yep. What's that? What board games?
Yeah, dude.
Man, so Settlers of Catan. That's fun.
Yes.
Yeah. And then we just got these pop darts. It's where you just kind of like have like a marker on your kitchen and you kind of like throw it and you kind of get close to it. Kind of like bocce ball, but in the house.
Yeah.
Cool.
Haven't seen that.
Yeah, dude, interacting with the family is definitely my side when I'm not working or actively looking for investments. That's it. Yeah.
Fantastic. So Catan, I have many stories of Catan. We love Catan.
Yeah.
My wife and I. We love it and we hate it. And we've played it. We took it one time with our friends to play it like at a brunch outside at some restaurant in Austin. And we're playing. And my wife gets so frustrated when I got the longest road or something. So yeah, my buddy's girlfriend doesn't talk to him anymore after that lunch. But Catan's fantastic. Okay.
Yeah.
What's the best thing or memory that's happened to you or your family in the last, 60, 90 days, recent memory?
Recent memory. Well, okay. So we just got engaged.
Congrats. Yeah.
So when I say my kids, I mean, it's her 2 kids, but yeah. I just like, don't make it weird. I'm like, they're just my kids. We've
it's awesome. Well, congrats. Congrats, man. That's big news.
Big deal.
Yeah. That's fantastic. You guys have a date yet, or is this relatively new? You just had it happen.
So Thanksgiving, the day before Thanksgiving, we went to Seattle actually for Thanksgiving, and that's when I did it. Yeah.
Nice.
So very recent. Yeah.
Congrats again, man.
Thank you.
Very cool. And then finally, name 1 or 2 people who've been most influential in either the way you think or your success.
Robert Kiyosaki. I'm telling you, Rich Dad Poor Dad. That was one of my first books that I read for like investing. Mm-hmm. And then who else is more really influential? Man, I don't. My recent guy I've been really following in the real estate business is Jeff Glover. He does a lot of things that I do in my business. He's more in the sales of real estate though. So adding if you want to add investing and real estate, those would be, some two pretty cool, influential people.
Very, very good names. We're going to put some links to those. Rich Dad Poor Dad, I think, is just it is the quintessential investor book to get yourself thinking the right way, get into buying assets, not liabilities. That's like yeah. Again, my wife, when she read it this past year, she's like, oh, I get it.
I know. Yeah. How can you not get excited after you read that?
Yeah, exactly. Well, awesome. Again, Jeff, it's been great having you on. I appreciate you taking the time, jumping on the show and sharing your insights with everybody. And I know everybody's going to get a lot out of it and be able to go and execute some strategies that will earn them some more money. So thanks again.
Appreciate it.
All right. Catch you guys on the next episode.
Did you know that 80% of the agents we speak with got into real estate in order to gain passive income so they could obtain financial freedom and become work optional? If you want to stay up to date, the best way is to make sure you're subscribed. So if you haven't done that, go ahead and do it now. We'll catch you on the next episode.